morning, everyone. I may not be totally cleaned up this morning because I had to get on this video like right now. I mean, like the way that the energy is coming at me, and I really don't really know exactly how long it's going to take for for certain things to occur or happen, right? But I wanted to get back to the definition of this zeptosecond. A zeptosecond is a trillionth of a billionth of a second, or a decimal point followed by 20 zeros and a 1. The reason why that was important to me, and I just wanted to reiterate this for those who are watching the video to really come up on, because at the end of the day, the thing that I'm constantly reminded about is how I have been about to create a business enterprise, and I think I need a partner or need someone to share it with in the whole nine, and I finally figured out what I had lacked. Some people will call it doubt. Um, it was a little bit more than that, because I had certain prompts and certain like internal, what I would call noise or disturbance that had been implanted when I was between 1 and 6. So I'm just doing the research, right? Because when you're a behavioral scientist, it's really important for you to focus on your own demonstration, because then you'll know what works and what doesn't work. It could take a very long time, more than a life, for this to happen, and that's the reason why I had to ultimately submit to what I call the highest power, just the highest power. I mean, I just love to play with the name because the name is so incredible. Plus, the highest power also has humor. He does a lot of what he does in humor in terms of what he's doing and how he lays it down. And I just wanted to put forth the idea that my main motivation for even really getting with this is because I believe that I was born in the likeness of this body in this particular birth for a certain reason. So when I look around and I look at the manifestation of what happened to Dr. King, and he represented love, and then what happened to whether it be Huey P. Newton with the Black Panther Party, or even like with Chairman Fred Hampton. I mean, I go on and on. I mean, I could, but I don't want to bore anybody. Addition to that is brother Malcolm X, and then of course we know our brother Jesus the Christ, right? So the way that the Lord is putting it on my chest is that He's putting the very people I need to have in my inner circle to really understand certain aspects of just how people get down, what kind of time they're on. It's not even about whether people are wrong or right. In my particular case, it's the lesson that I'm receiving. You dig what I'm saying? But I'm nobody's fool at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? It's like playing chess, but what I like is when you get to the point where you're playing 100 people at once, and it's a physical place, and you move from 1 to 100 in reference to your move. It's like a joke, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, what is your spiritual purpose? Why are you here for? And as I continually to assert, the reason why an individual is on the planet is for the furtherance of the highest kingdom, what we call heaven, to be placed on earth, that only you can do. There is no one like you. There will be no one like you after you. And if you find out, and the way that you know your purpose is what makes you happy, what takes you to your highest good, what makes you feel good at the end of the day, that you might have impacted someone or something in a way that is positive rather than the negative. And then understanding the duality of the positive and the negative in the third dimension, and just understanding the science of it. And why in the third dimension, why not in the fourth or the second? But that's another story. Like, we on planet Earth, we dealing with Earth, we don't got to deal with the planets and this, that, and the other, and other solar systems. Let's just deal with here, right? So I happen to be doing some research on this bank called the Bank for International Settlements. The reason why that was important to me was because the way that the information is being placed on my chest, it really doesn't matter if someone think I'm a fool or I'm silly or I'm slow, or it really doesn't matter. The only reason why I'm really making these videos is so that I later can be on the flight, or I'm in my car and I just need to be reminded, or something that I said that I didn't really understand what I was saying that I need to hear. You see what I'm saying? Because people are going to be who they are. Because look, I've looked at other videos and I know that the data is like top shelf. It's on forum and you still got thumbs down like it's no good. So I say, well, you can't please everybody. And that gets me back to this. The only reason why you're on the planet is to please the big G, the big O, the big D, uppercase letters. It's a difference between an uppercase G, lowercase O, lowercase d, opposed to a lowercase g, a lowercase o, and a lowercase d. You know, but these are other degrees. And then what really blows my mind, I'm not even really supposed to know nothing. Ain't nobody in my family, they don't have no track record, no path, nothing that I could pattern myself after. So I had to pattern myself after another demonstration and still lay it down. And then one thing I do know is this: I'm not still in the body because of man. I'm in the body because of the big G, the big O, the big D. No other reason. You feel me? And like I was talking to a good friend of mine a few moments ago that I've known for a very long time. I really can't call him a friend, more so associate, but I know his background, I know what kind of time he's on. I got a call from Andrews Air Force Base. So anybody know where Andrews Air Force Base is? In Maryland, but it's next to the ONI, which is the Office of Naval Intelligence. Right around the corner from there is the NSA, which is the National Security Agency, as well as the CIA, which is the Central Intelligence Agency in Langley, Virginia. Ultimately, at the end result, that means nothing. And then you got a Quantico that's right around the corner as well. You know what I'm saying? The Marine base, you know what I mean, for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, you know what I'm saying, and that trilateral type environment, you know what I'm saying? So let me get back to this international settlements. International settlements is in a Swiss, it's in a small Swiss city. It's obscure and secretive. Also aligned with them is something called control of the institution. And therein lies some of the world's most powerful and least visible men, the heads of 32 central banks, officials able to shift billions of dollars, obviously trillions, and alter the course of the economics at a stroke of a pen, depending on the country and or continent. Just like with the situation going on with Texas. We all know about HARP, you know what I'm saying? That ain't no accident, you know what I'm saying? Man, these people don't care, man. Collateral damage is like a joke. Just like with 9/11. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the situation in New York with the Twin Towers, you will find out, especially with me, with the background that I have in construction and architecture on my own. I studied on my own. Nobody taught me nothing except the great one. And because he instilled the intelligence in me to understand what I was looking at without any formal education. That just the internal structure, there's no way that building could have what happened with it, and then for it to come straight down, and then it looks like powder. It looks like instead of it exploding, it was an implosion. It means like certain detonation was put in there, like on a level that most of us have no comprehension on, where you got to be in somebody's laboratory at University of Missouri or some type of school or college. My point is this: ultimately, in the end result, what we find out is if you are part of something good, if you're part of something positive, just like I was talking to an associate of mine a moment ago, right? I said, you know, recently I seen some small kids, you know, some little black kids, boys and girls, you know, the boys are chasing the girls, you know, some girls was chasing the boys, they screeching, hollering, have a good time, the whole nine at recess. These kids have no idea what they've been born into. So I look at it like this, and I respect those who call themselves Jews, who basically attend synagogues and have Shabbat you know what I mean, where they're held under their law regarding not doing any work. I believe that is from Friday evening to through Saturday, something like that. Um, my point is this: as a group, we are the only ones on the planet that don't have our what you call like agencies, that we're like a think tank group. Like we so slick, right? Look here, we so slick. This is what make us slick, and I mean it just like that. When God is teaching you, the first thing he does is he vacuums everything up on the planet in terms of intelligence. See, because what man fails to understand is that he's not in control. Now, as a people, I believe that black folk, you may want to call yourself African American, you may want to call yourself Moors, what have you. We are the only people that have been treated the way that we have, and then we give back in prayer and marching and talking about we shall overcome and all the rest of the stuff, and they still keep on giving us the same thing. You know what I'm saying? A boot upside the head, any way you want to look at it. You know how much time I spent in prison after being stabbed with an 8.5-inch butcher knife, transfused with 77 pints of blood, 21 pints of blood plasma, and in addition, whatever happened with that, when I came awoke at Johns Hopkins Hospital, I didn't say, Lord, thank you. What I said was, damn, I got to go back to prison. That was my first thoughts. Now, what I found out was the aftermath of that. Like, why did that even happen? You know, what was the spiritual purpose? What was the reasonings? And so I say the only reason why I'm able to talk on this video right now, will somebody support me or not, is because God is in charge. And I found out that when you truly are, I wouldn't even call it a soldier, because it's like, because the war is not ours. The war is already won. We just got to wake up and accept it. But the bottom line is this here, right? I have learned that I put nobody before God. Family, children, none of that. Because I find out that when you do that with God, he gives you everything. Your family, your children, your relationships, stuff start improving almost overnight. Because God's in charge. See, God changes hearts and thaws and thaws a heart. You know, like if a heart is all cold and whatnot, and you'd be like, yo, you can't, like, you can't even exist in this environment unless your heart returns to its true state. Right? So normally I would get on my book, and I'm going to get on the book later on this evening. I'm looking at this bad truck that just passed, right? The way the dude got it hooked up, that's an idea that I can freeze frame in my mind to give to a young brother who's coming up. Because ultimately I feel that my purpose is to be a living example for those who look like me. Get to them first, because they need the most. But do it in a way, and I hate to say it like this because this is how bad it is. It's almost like having one of those silverback gorillas in one of them cages that the cage can withstand 1,000 pounds of force per square cubic inch. And when you feed the gorilla, you got to have some type of contraption that allows you to stand 20 to 50 feet away to feed him. Then once he sees you're a friend, not only can you get closer, but he gets the shape change from the silverback gorilla into what he truly or she really is. That's just my imagination. See what I'm saying? Because imagination is genius. They asked Albert Einstein, they say, which would you rather have? A 200 IQ or an ultimate imagination? And he said the imagination is intelligence, which is unlimited. That's what I'm working on. That's what I'm feeding upon. So I just wanted to get this out there. Really didn't get to the book, but I'm going to read a part of the book anyway. The title is called, the title is called Man Alone Has Created Evil. All these things man creates into reality in his life on earth. Evil, disease, poverty, hell, and devil. But God has nothing to do with them. Now we must understand what God is. God is obviously all wisdom and all knowledge, since he knows everything. He never has any problems. There are never questions to answer, no goals to be achieved. There's never knowledge to be gained, no experience to be had. Everything to God is apparent. Each movement to God is automatically creation. Somehow mankind has insisted upon devising a God with a whole set of moral attributes, but since moral implies conflict with immoral, God couldn't possibly be either. He could not possibly be put in the position of wrestling himself with good and evil and creating that which for the moment gained the upper hand. It has to be understood that only God creates, and that he creates without the knowledge of good and evil. It has to be understood that each human being is a living embodiment of God, that God is in him and her, around her and him, and that each human being creates through thought. For those of you who can't get it, thought. Morally, the world-conscious human being knows right and wrong and good and evil. Therefore, he creates them. Let me say that again. Morally, the world-conscious human being knows right and wrong and good and evil. Therefore, he creates them. Good and evil, when it says them. He creates them by his own thought. He, she, we, they, all of us, not God. Let me say that again. Not God. Not the big G, not the big O, not the big D. For the act of creation in this life is accomplished by the conscious mind acting on the subconscious mind, and the universal subconscious mind is the mind of Big G, Big O, Big D. Mankind will never be able to accept an all-loving and just God who created evil. Mankind has never been able to reconcile such a God with the patent fact that disease and suffering fall like rain on the just and the unjust. The thinking mind is emotionally torn to bits, even dwelling on such an idea. But we needn't think of it further, for it can be proven that disease and suffering and evil of every kind are created by man and woman alone. Let me say that again for those of you who got a rock head kind of slow. The thinking mind is emotionally torn to bits, even dwelling on such an idea. Mankind has never been able to reconcile such a God with the patent fact that disease and suffering fall like rain on the just and the unjust. But we needn't think of it further, for it can be proven that disease and suffering and evil of every kind are created by man and woman alone. My next chapter will be called The Spiritual Law of Cause and Effect. The spiritual law of cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. Like I said, this video really is for me. Here's why. Even in a perfect day, you're going to have disagreement. But the way that you'll know whether or not any of this is true is just how you see me roll. And as soon as I get off this road, out of this vehicle, I'm getting back on my grind, back on my focus, back in my prayer, constantly in prayer, asking the Lord to give me that greater light so I can get this done. I'm finding out it ain't about me, but I'm going to love it. I'm loving every act. It say, look, it's not the end of the journey. It's the journey itself. It done taken a minute. So again, the next thing I will be talking about is the spiritual law of cause and effect, unless the spirit get a hold to me like this morning, and I just ask the Lord to speak out my mouth, speak the truth, put my heart out there, and even if somebody try to smash it, grab it, dash it, like look at the situation in a negative way, I know my God, He will recreate it. Like it's like you can't kill the spirit until you hear from me.